Hi, I'm Adam Juniper with Digital Camera World, and I'm going to be looking at the new DJI Action 5 Pro. Now, this is the latest action camera. It's the answer to the GoPro Hero 13 Black, which just came out a couple of weeks ago. DJI established a lead last year. We actually put them to the top of our buyer's guide for best action cameras, beating GoPro, because the Action 4 and the Action 5 have a larger image sensor, which means it's a better camera in low light. DJI have really stuck to the let's beat them on specs with this camera, except one thing. We'll get to that. What you've got here is an action camera that has got, it can go deeper than the GoPro. It can go to 20 meters underwater. It has higher resolution screens, bigger touch screen. It has a big touchscreen on the front, which GoPro don't do. It is a 4K camera. Admittedly, GoPro go up to 5.3K, but then how many 5.3K videos do you? Doesn't matter. The UI is slicker and faster thanks to a processor which is pretty impressive. We get more options off the menu here for slow motion, subject tracking. That's an exciting one. I can lock this camera off and it will follow a person around the room. You'll notice it defaulted there to a social media friendly format. So you're looking at a camera which can follow someone around the room while they, say, do some cooking videos. On the other hand, we're looking at a camera where DJI haven't changed that much. In some respects, that's great. DJI already had a magnetic mount mechanism, which GoPro have got around to copying, and to be honest, GoPro have slightly improved on, because GoPro's system works both ways. Here, the magnets are a bit of a misnomer really. The magnets guide the device in, but it clips, so there's no way that's coming off when I'm cycling. The Action 5 can do 10-bit HLG video. It also boasts 47 gigabytes onboard storage, so you don't actually need to remember to have an SD card inside the camera, and that information can be taken off with Wi-Fi 6 at 80 gigabits a second. So it's pretty fast. Everything about this thing just screams fast, common sense design, and that's absolutely fantastic. So you'd think this would be a natural choice to stay top of our action camera guide, our best choice. But there is something that GoPro did this time. Two things, in fact. One, GoPro put GPS back in their cameras, which means that when a GoPro camera is moving quickly, it can, or any speed, but it can measure its position, which you can use to create an on-screen visual feedback, like a speedo as a graphic, which not everyone wants to do, and GoPro software could certainly be improved, but it is a cool option to have. If I want to do this with DJI, DJI will give you a watch as an accessory, which is also a remote for the camera, which is pretty cool, although, to be honest, the styling could be slightly better. It nevertheless isn't quite as neat as having it in the box. So that's a bit of a shame. I guess that's something I could live with, because there's something to be said for the idea of the device being on you, and the GPS arguably is accurately measuring your speed rather than where the camera is. There is a head and heart situation though. Here, the only thing I can really detach from this camera is this little rubber ring which comes around to protect the lens. On the GoPro, there is a lens mount device. Now, there is a lens on the camera that's not coming off, or even on the GoPro, but you can put new and different lenses on. An anamorphic lens is on the way. There is a wide angle lens, so it just feels a bit like a proper camera. And yes, there's an argument that dust is going to get here and it's causing all sorts of problems, but because that has a sensor system, those lenses that you put on aren't an annoyance. Even neutral density filters are automatically sensed by the camera, and it makes its own adjustments, which means that you can change lenses with speed and fun and get out there and do stuff, which means that, yes, everything about the insides of the GoPro are not quite as good as DJI, who've gone with the technical, but on the other hand, it is arguably a little bit more exciting. They've gone with a slightly more fun change. That, and the fact that they've put the speed and the GPS system inside, means that you now have to choose between a camera which is technically more able to cope with low light and has a higher dynamic range, things you sort of think about as a photographer, and the camera which inherently appeals to you as a photographer. By any old measure, this is the better action camera, but the GoPro Hero 13 Black, they do like to make long and complicated names for these devices, is actually redefining the genre. Again. Which do you choose? I can't decide. So, transpires this handle that I'm carrying is actually incredibly flexible. Just walking along the Grand Union Canal, playing out some of the stabilisation now. This is just walking with ordinary walking shoes. So, obviously not the roughest experience we're going to have, and I'm holding it using the handle. Well, more convenience than anything. With a nice big clear bright screen right next to me, it's very easy for me to get my composition right. I'm having no sort of trouble there. The design isn't markedly different to the predecessor. Cyclist coming. Just stand to the side but try not to fall in. Morning. It's a good thing I was still using my peripheral vision. But this may be inappropriate for the level of action you're getting with a man walking down the side of a pretty empty canal. But I'm now recording at 120 frames a second, still in 4K. When I get home, I'll be interested to see what that's doing for the darker areas, although I can still see detail in my face on the monitor, so that's encouraging. Oh, a bit of shade, that's balancing things out, isn't it, in the image? Maybe it'd be better if I didn't keep the light behind me the whole time, but this is the direction I have to walk, so I guess I can hold the camera off to the side and then you can see just how much walking is making me sweat. It's actually a surprisingly warm day in the UK here. I'm starting to regret not bringing in a microphone so we can compare proper recording of my voice, but well, this is only my first day's testing. Right, so this is the Colne Valley Viaduct as it crosses the Grand Union Canal, which is part of the UK's most expensive infrastructure project, High Speed 2. Wow. Right, quickly recording myself under a bridge by a canal in the UK, which is of course a lovely safe spot to be and feels very safe. As well as the camera itself, though, DJI do also make some really good quality accessories. So this battery charging hub, which will plug into USB, just with a button tap lets me know which batteries are charged, and they stay inside there, keeps them nice and safe, clips away. And then there's this battery handle. Again, uses the magnetic mount system, which means you do need to rotate it. But it also has nice little legs. Oh, and did I mention it'll go all, well, not all night. In terms of specs, something else that has been exercising DJI's mind is time. Now, an area where, and perhaps this is where the Pro comes from, GoPros can overheat and turn themselves off or reach a limit of recording times. Not just GoPros, all action cameras, but GoPros certainly developed a bit of reputation for it. So here we've got some impressive thermal management, and it can record for up to 4 hours, say DJI, in 1080p, and up to, well, again, certainly over 2 hours, apparently over 210 minutes in 4K, 30 frames a second. And while I haven't quite managed to achieve those times, it's certainly comfortably beating the current generation, or the newest generation of GoPros. So battery times here are very impressive, even before you start carrying special accessories. So there's a lot of professional thought. If the edition of Pro is really about that, sometimes I feel like the edition of Pro might have more to do with the fact that Apple have Pro on their more expensive phone lines, in the same way that for quite a long time there was a DJI SE drone series, and that was their more modestly priced, in the same way that Apple had an SE phone line, and that was their most accessibly priced iPhone. So does it need that extra bit of branding to make it even harder for me to say Osmo Action 5 Pro? No, but there's definitely a point there. And so that point is, this is the action camera for the head, and certainly for anyone who's going caving, underground, anywhere in the dark. Is it the one for the heart? I'm really going to have to leave that to you.